A very good afternoon, Professor Madhu and Professor Brian. Thanks a lot for taking time this afternoon and meeting GradRight here in Denver Business School campus. It's wonderful to meet both of you this afternoon. I have a few questions to really understand a little bit more about the programs that you're offering. I would like to know a little bit deeper here, especially when it comes to MS in entrepreneurship. What kind of student would succeed while pursuing MS in entrepreneurship here?
I think that's a really good question, and so there are two types of students who typically would take the MS in entrepreneurship. The first is the category of student who wants to start their own business, who wants to be a founder or a startup founder, with the goal of scaling the company and making it big and successful. And we've had many alums who've actually done that very successfully. For example, we have one alum who started a company 4 years ago, and he's close to being valued at $1 billion. So it's a remarkable journey. And then we have one alum who's got the largest gluten-free brewery in the US. So we've got some very wonderful success stories with that. But the second group and the larger group of students are students who want to cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset and then work for an entrepreneurial organization like Google and Amazon and a whole bunch of others. Colorado and Denver in particular is hugely entrepreneurial. And so many of these organizations know us and are involved with the educational process. So that's the other group, the students who want jobs in entrepreneurial companies. And the MS in entrepreneurship is sort of like a mini MBA in a way, because it's a degree that incorporates marketing, finance, and everything else, all the other subjects, but does it from an entrepreneurial perspective, small business perspective. And then it also is a degree that's much shorter than an MBA. So for a student, they can do it in 1 year, reasonably, without compromise.
And do you think students only who are interested in starting their own business should pursue this program?
No. I think, go ahead, but 70% of students, I would expect, would not start their business, but would get a job in an entrepreneurial company. And that's where those networks help. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to add, I think, to the second group of students that you were speaking about, MP, when we talk about students who are looking for an advanced degree and looking to take the next step in their overall career and their overall life, they may not ever think that they want to start a business, but they want to make a difference within a company. They don't want to go to a company and just, fill a cog, fill a role. They want to actually have autonomy and actually be able to speak openly about what their career looks like and have a trajectory in mind that is theirs and their own. This degree will offer them the foundations from a business standpoint, similar to the MBA, but it's a little bit more flexible, it's a little bit more adaptable. You can mold it into what your own overall interests are. And from a career standpoint, it allows you to think like an entrepreneur even when you're working for companies and not being the leader of the organization.
So in many ways, just to one more point there, is that the students we are training with this degree are change makers, whether they start their own companies or be change agents in organizations. And many organizations these days look for entrepreneurs with that mindset. Google, for example, considers themselves to be 101 startups. Yeah. That's what they call themselves. It's a big organization, but they think entrepreneurially. So that would be the market.
And some would argue that the best entrepreneurs learn by doing. What would you say are the advantages of getting an advanced degree in entrepreneurship that you offer?
Well, that's another very good question. That's right. I mean, entrepreneurs often succeed by doing, succeed by making mistakes, succeed by mentorship, and succeed by having networks. So, and that's what we are trying to do, and with this degree, that right from the start, they get their feet wet. So, they actually go meet entrepreneurs. our education system is heavily guest speaker oriented, and these are great entrepreneurs who come and are part of the education. They participate in a venture competition. If they want to learn venture capital investing, we have a student-run venture capital investing club, guided by a venture capitalist. So the students, right from the start, do things associated with entrepreneurship. And it's not just academic knowledge, it's both academic and experiential knowledge.
I think the other point to that is, we spoke about this last week in one of our webinars with one of our professors, Jung Park, a great success story from the program in and of himself. We talked about the idea that just because you learn by doing as an entrepreneur does not mean that failure at a high level should be a part of being an entrepreneur. Part of this program, through the coursework, offers you the foundation so that you can try, succeed, learn, make mistakes that don't necessarily have drastic implications to you in terms of your life. So while you have the ability, as MP is describing, to learn through experience, a lot of students are going to come in here not knowing the hard numbers required behind a successful business plan. This will provide them with that without the risk that is involved with writing a business plan, presenting to investors, growing a business, all of the trial and error that comes with a business. This provides the kind of guardrails to be successful there.
Professor, could you tell our student community a little bit about the GradRight Venture Fund?
So the GradRight Venture Fund is what I just mentioned. It is a venture fund that invests real money. So we have money, $500,000 or close to it. And we invest real money in real businesses. And it is the students who actually collectively make the decision to invest or not. Of course, they are supervised by a really, really famous venture capitalist who actually trains them. And then I'm also part of that venture group. So basically the VC and I have to approve it. I mean, if they make bad decisions, we're not going to approve it. But they actually have made brilliant decisions so far. And all their investments are doing, those companies are doing really well. So it's a fund run by students which invests in real money in real companies without any risk to the student. Because if the company fails, I mean, the student it's just a learning experience. But it involves due diligence, that they have to actually go and make sure that the investments we made in the past are successful, and so on. So it's a very good and unique opportunity.
And could you also share a little bit about the startup pitch competition with the client?
Absolutely. So this is our capstone event of the year. We have students who are all associated in some way, shape, or form with CU Denver or with universities here in Colorado. We have 2 courses that are aligned around this: new concept development and our business plan development course. Essentially, over the course of 3 months throughout the winter into the spring, students meet with entrepreneurs here at the Jake Jab Center for Entrepreneurship, our incubator on campus. They learn various aspects of writing a business plan, writing a 2-minute pitch, presenting to investors and pitching their ideas, and then ultimately they present their business plan, they present a video to both us, the team here at the Jake Jab Center, as well as our advisory council, who review the business plans and decide on the best ones to enter into the final competition. Those students then get a crash course in what exactly it takes to present in front of investors and in front of a crowd. And at the end of April every year, our finalists will come on stage, present their business plan through their pitch. They will present their business plan to our investors, and they will award a top prize as well as a few associated prizes for students based on their business plan. It kind of fuses that television show Shark Tank, and the idea of you're under the bright lights, you've got an opportunity to showcase what it is that you've brought to the table from a business standpoint. Even for the students who never make it to the finals, or for those students, for that matter, who don't win, they get an invaluable experience. They get in front of investors, they get in front of entrepreneurs, get real, actual feedback, and can walk away from that saying, this is where my business is at right now. These are the concrete steps I need to take it to the next level. Obviously, those students who win walk away with some seed money that they can utilize to invest their company and that confidence that real investors, real entrepreneurs think that they have a valuable idea.
There's one really important point additionally, and that is, it sounds as if this competition is only for people who want to do their own startup, right? But we find that the moment students put it on the resume that they actually participated in the competition, and they got feedback from the competition, and they actually came up with a startup idea, and then they go to a business for a job, and the employer says, "Oh, so you participated in a business plan competition? What was your idea? How did that happen? What did you learn?" And the probability that we found that they would get that job because they went through the competition significantly higher, because that's what corporations are seeking. That entrepreneurial mindset and the experience.
Absolutely.
And the interesting thing which we've seen is that the program charges the same tuition to the in-state, out-of-state, and also international students.
Yes.
I think it's a great opportunity, an option for students to really seek quality education into entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So we are the best deal in the country because for international students. And that's because our entire cost of education for international students would be between $21,000 and $25,000, I would think, depending on whether they take more online classes or not. There are a few things that make a small difference. We also do have scholarship money, and international students are eligible to apply for scholarship through the business school as well. So outside of the entrepreneurship money. The biggest discount for them is in-state tuition. That's a massive scholarship right there. And the reason for that is because I personally went through the non-resident tuition, process. And I said, international students, particularly from developing countries who don't have very much of money, who are using their family's money, I think we are doing an injustice to them by charging them exorbitant amount of money. So, and that was one of the reasons that we just standardized tuition for everybody. It's also unique in other ways, and I'm not sure whether you have questions about that. It's also stackable. So for students who are not able to afford even the cheap tuition, they can take 3 courses. We give them a certificate. And this is true for international students as well. We give them a certificate. They can go get an internship. And the internship may be a paid internship that actually gives them some money. And then they can come back later and do 3 more courses and slowly finish the 10 courses, making it really affordable. And so the affordability is very important to us. The stackability, and Brian mentioned one thing, customization. There is no core that students have to take. So basically what we do is, if you were a student, you come to us, and you've done a degree in marketing, it doesn't make sense to force you to take marketing 101, right? That's what the MBA program would do. Everyone has to go through the core. So what we do is we customize the program in such a way that we only design the elements that would benefit you the most. And in fact, one of our target markets are CEOs of companies who retired during the Great Resignation. And now they're bored and they want to start their own business. And they come to us, and if I were to say, if you were the CFO of a company and I forced you to do Finance 101, that's like a slap in the face and an insult, right? Because they can teach the class. So it helps to have a perfectly customized program for them. So then they take more marketing, more leadership, other classes that would be valuable.
And could you please share your own story? You're from India, you have traveled all the way being a student here. And how did you really end up into this?
So my journey was academic, but also very entrepreneurial in a way. So I came to the US in 1989 from India, and at that time, and I know that some of the students, their parents might remember this, but getting admission in top MBA programs was easy, but getting scholarship money was impossible at that time. So, at that time, India had this RBI regulation that you're not allowed to take more than $500 or some very small amount of money out of India. So most students like me were locked. We couldn't get money from India to pay for our education at that time. And we didn't have the opportunity to get student loans, and so we didn't have money. So the only way I could make it happen was to get full scholarship. So I found a school that would give me a full scholarship for an MBA program, and then I found another school that would give me a full scholarship for a doctoral program. And that's how I did it. So it was very entrepreneurial because, you got to do what you got to do to make it work, right? And so that helped me because that also made me think entrepreneurially. And so when I joined CU Denver in 1996, I always wanted to teach in entrepreneurship. And when I was a teenager in India, I started 2 businesses actually. One was a polythene plant to make plastic bags. The old kabaddi wala would come with the brown paper thing, and then of course the trend was plastic, which is a bad trend. The old thing was better. This is, so now everything's going back to being more sustainable. But so two friends of mine and I, we started a plastic bag manufacturing plant in outskirts of Delhi. And then what happened was, like a fool, I sold my share to my friends because I got bored, and I bought myself that 350cc Yamaha motorcycle, and that was the first mistake. But I was always thinking entrepreneurially and willing to take risks and always excited about trying something new. And that's what led to this program being designed. And of course, I had great help from Brian. I had great help from other team members. But that's how we all came together to design this program so uniquely.
Brian, what advice would you want to give to any Indian student who's considering a master's in entrepreneurship?
I think ultimately it's important, if you want to do a degree like this, to be both open-minded, because going into a master's degree program, especially one in entrepreneurship, part of the joy of this program is that you are going to meet so many people to build out a larger network, and where you go in thinking that you want to study and what you want to study may not be where you end up in terms of the actual work that you're doing. But I would also say come in with a sense of humility and curiosity around where your degree is going to go and where your life and your work is going to go. The beauty of entrepreneurship is you're getting the hard skills from a business standpoint. You're going to walk out of here with as quality of a master's degree education as you would get in an MBA program, but you are going to walk out of here with the ability to focus on both small businesses, which allow you, either as a leader or wherever your role ends up in a small business, to really touch all elements of it. The beauty of working for a small business is that there's no just clocking in and hoping that you're getting your work done and we'll see if the results end up panning out. You are actually a part of all of that. So being really open-minded and being really curious will allow you the opportunity coming here to a city like Denver, where there is still so much to be built here. This is a city that is in great transition. This is a city that is growing immensely on a day-to-day and year-to-year basis. And there are entrepreneurs here who are willing and ready to work with you on a personal and professional level to put you in a position where you can take that next step in your career, whatever it may be. So for us here, I work directly with all students as they're coming into the program, as they're starting their process within the program. The best students I've worked with are the ones that know where their skill set is at this point in time, know what gaps they have, but also know that they're open-minded, that if they discover something along the way, like any good entrepreneur, they're going to chase that idea as far as it goes.
Good points, really very good points. I would also mention a couple of things, which I think, Brian, you mentioned, but very important points. And the first one is every student who wants it gets a mentor first day.
Mm-hmm.
And the mentor is not another student. The mentor is a real business leader, likely the CEO of a company that's successful. So right from day one, they not only get the academic education, but they also get something which no other program offers, which is that one-on-one mentorship. It's one-on-one. So that mentor will follow the student until the student graduates and will be advising the student until that student is done with the program, and will even help the student get a job. So that's number one, which I think is one of the most important parts. And you talked about experiential. So this is like unbelievably experiential. And this is something we may not be able to sustain if the program grows to more than 200-300 students eventually. Then it becomes harder to sustain that. But right now we can. And that's the first point. The second point is a lot of Indian students want the STEM and they want to do an MS and IS. And my advice to them would be, if you're going to be doing an MS and IS, you're going to be paying the same amount of money by getting a dual degree. And the dual degree is not just getting another useless degree, it's a very useful degree. And it is the entrepreneurship side of the dual degree that will be the experiential part of the degree, because the IS part of the degree will be largely academic. So by doing the dual degree, students would get both the academic side and the entrepreneurial side and the experiential side. So I would recommend to all students who are thinking of an MS in information systems to, at a minimum, just do the dual degree because it doesn't cost you any more. It's a little more time, but it's worth it. It's 42 hours as opposed to 30. So it takes a little more time, so it may cost you a little more in the sense that you have to stay a little longer, and it costs you in terms of rent and so on. But they might get an internship. Mm-hmm. They're more likely to get an internship if they're on entrepreneurship, so they're more likely to make up some of that money. And for the students who want to do an MS in entrepreneurship and only an MS in entrepreneurship, get started with your mentor from day one, and you only get what you put in. If you want to go through a degree with minimal effort, you can do so. Just attend the classes in a minimal level and you pass and you get the degree. But the entrepreneurship degree allows you to do a lot more than just attend classes, participate in the client, participate in the GradRight Venture Fund, attend all the speaker events that we have, attend all the mentoring and the network events. So the student, if they want to, it has to come from the student, but they can get so much more from this degree than just the piece of paper and the academic educational process. Would you agree?
I agree with all that. That's great.
Yeah.